some people worry that they might be forced into taking medication if they seek help. Is that actually true? Is that possible that people could be forced to take medicine?
You'd have to be hospitalized and, really in a real episode, or clearly suicidal, or clearly engage in something that might harm others, to even be hospitalized. And at least in California, they can only hold you for 72 hours in that state. So that's the only sequence I can see where you could get forced to take medication. You can definitely get encouraged to. You know, I know there are like programs that you might be involved in where you have to stay on top of your medication to stay in that program.
Okay.
But no, in general, you can't be forced to take medication. And just make a strong case why you should.
What would you say to people that held the following beliefs?
Mhm.
And the first one is the past is the past. There's no point in rehashing it, and you can't change it anyway.
Um, that's a fair belief to have. And if you're still going through difficulties in the present, um, excavating some of the past you might find some solutions that you don't expect doing that. That being said, you don't have to go back to the past to go through a therapeutic process. So there are definitely many modalities where they're not interested in the past at all. And you start talking about the past, they're going to steer you back to the present anyway. So cognitive behavioral therapy would be one. There are many that will completely align with that point of view, and you don't have to go down that road anyway. Even in my modality, which does like to go down that road, it really is, how does it serve you now to dig up what's in the past? And there's a lot of care taken in that, because you just talking about a previous trauma can re-traumatize you. So I think sometimes people say that because they don't want to be re-traumatized, and that's a perfectly logical way to feel. And so yeah, the purpose is not to do that, for sure.
I always thought about, like, when you're cleaning out a closet and you make a huge mess first before you can like sort through it. I always pictured like rehashing the past in that way. It's just like it looks super messy and ugly and scary, and you're like, what have I done? How am I going to clean this up? But eventually you compartmentalize. Maybe this pile is for donations, and that pile is going to go whatever, like it, and then you can file it in a way where it's not so overwhelming, especially with the help of a therapist.
Yeah, and take that further, before you move, you gotta
Amen.
do all that kind of stuff, and hopefully, usually you're moving to be in a better environment or be in a better home. But yeah, you're not gonna want to take everything with you, and you're definitely gonna want to sort through it. And unpacking and packing is, nobody loves that.
Well,
But
no,
settling into the home is worth it. And so yeah, I definitely love that analogy.
yes, and I'm totally stealing that, especially before you move to a new place. You definitely don't want to be taking that with you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what about people that think, why would I need therapy? If I feel like it, I can just talk to my friends.
So there's two sides to that. One, you might have issues or situations or things going on within yourself that you really would be kind of burdening the friend to put all of that on them all at once. And you don't know where your friend is coming from. It might be traumatic for them to hear your trauma. There's secondary trauma going on that can happen.
Secondary trauma?
Mhm.
Oh my God, Gabrey, please repeat that.
So, I'm expressing my trauma, and that connects to something that you felt or that you've experienced. And so now you're being re-traumatized, trying to absorb my trauma. These last few weeks, I've got mostly Black clients. And so, everybody was dealing with these last few weeks.
Right.
And so I had to, sit down and feel my feelings while feeling their feelings, because they were the same feelings. And I had to process through that. But that's my job. My job is to be the container and to hold it. And friendship to some extent is that, but that shouldn't be all of it. So that's one part of it. And the other part is your friends see you in a certain way, and they have a certain expectation of who you are and how you show up. And it's not conscious, but sometimes they have an expectation for you to stay how you are.
Right.
Because they like the role that they have in that friendship, and maybe it is the person that's always hearing your problems, or that you're always leaning on. They like the feeling of being leaned on, and again, not necessarily consciously. And so that may not enable them to start giving you the tools to empower yourself to move forward in a way that really will benefit you. So yeah, we don't have the same skin in the game to keep you where you are. And even if that financial motivation of, oh, I want you to be my client over and over and over again, but that gets counterbalanced with, if I'm not moving you forward, why would you stay anyway? So our role, even if we're being selfish, is to make progress for you. But if we're being really ethical and doing our job right, we want you to be able to end therapy whenever, as quickly as possible. And if we did continue, it would be to reach the next level of goals. And we got what you want to get taken care of, done. Maybe it's a grieving process, but in the process of that, we learn something about where your identities now hasn't been formed or stunted, and maybe we'll start working on that now. But it shouldn't be the same problem constantly the whole time. And sometimes friendships don't necessarily move the ball forward.
That makes so much sense. What about for those people that feel like, I'm not a good talker, I'm introverted? What would you say to the people that feel that way?
Um, a lot of therapists are introverts, so they're very sensitive to that, for one. I was like, yeah, that's me. Um, and again, I think it's that idea of it's 1 hour that's your space. Maybe it's an hour where you don't really talk that much, and you guys just sit together, and the actual verbal communication may not be as much as just feeling each other's presence and feeling seen and heard. And sometimes we surprise ourselves as introverts, like when we actually have a space that's about us and there isn't an expectation to absorb other people. Things might actually come out more than you think. And so I think all of that is true. And sometimes people are introverts because that's naturally who they are, and sometimes they've been taught to stay quiet. And so actually being free and encouraged to express can really surprise some folks about themselves.
You kind of touched on this. What about those like worries, the people that have like these anxieties of like therapy is going to just kick up the dust, and I don't know if I can really handle going there.
Mm-hmm. First, hopefully your therapist can guide that properly, so that it isn't too painful and it's not re-traumatizing. Um, but again, I think just having it buried or putting it away somewhere, it just lets it rot and become more dangerous and express itself in ways that you don't have any awareness or control over. And so, whether that's acting out or shutting down, it's still affecting you, even if you're not consciously letting yourself be aware of it. So I think a big part of any healing is acceptance, acknowledging the wound is there. I think that's what we're doing in society right now is finally maybe truly acknowledging a wound that's been there. And, that gives us an actual opportunity to heal it. I think that's true internally as individuals, really reconciling, maybe some of the things we did wrong ourselves and the ways we were wronged as a child or in other relationships, and really reconciling that, allowing yourself to be angry about it or remorseful, and then setting the course for what I'm going to do next about that and how I'm going to, create a new cycle if it's a family cycle that's been going on for generations, or create a new path if it's in your field in the work you do, and really empower yourself to realize how much power you do have over your life. And I think a lot of times people can feel like it's everything external that's controlling how my path is going, how my life is going. And we relinquish so much of the power that is still within us to respond to the external things and really grow at a level higher than maybe we expect we can.
Just a quick question. You mentioned, things still affecting you, and maybe you're being like explosive, or maybe you're reacting in a way that may not be the best way to be reacting. I feel like a lot of people just kind of characterize these trauma responses, I guess, and they just kind of think that that's just how they are. Like some people are funny, some people are, sarcastic, and some people are angry. And is that true? Do you feel like a good way to say you're really out of touch and with your own self, and you're not really sure, is a good sign, a signifier of you needing to process something that might have happened in the past, be from these like sort of eruptions that happen when you respond to things that maybe don't warrant that response? Is that like a breadcrumb back to, oh, I should probably talk to somebody about this?
I think if you explode about things that you clearly, 20 minutes later, like, whoa, what am I exploding about? Or if everybody around you is always doing that, when you explode about things, that's probably a whole loaf. It's probably letting you know something's going on. Yeah, I think more of the breadcrumbs are those times where someone annoys you or upsets you and you don't respond. You just put it away because they built a mountain of grievance and now they're going to explode over someone taking the last chicken wing, instead of all the other times that they were upset about, not being treated well at work and not being respected here and there, and letting all those go. Eventually, it might just blow.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I definitely think that those are the ways when you're feeling like, oh wait, I was just out of character for how I want to be. You're not in alignment with the person you want to be. That's a sign to get support.
So what about the people that say I can be my own therapist and I don't really need anyone?
If you're doing fine supporting yourself and learning about yourself, I think there are people that definitely do that and are effective at that. I think sometimes that's the purpose of therapy in a lot of ways, is when you're done to be able to therapize yourself. Really have the tools to be able to moderate your emotions, be in touch with what's going on, figure out what triggers are and how to process through them and still move forward. So that's the whole purpose of therapy, is really for you to become your own therapist out in the world. Whether you see the same, where you keep seeing the therapist anyway, or that's when you decide to leave. That is the end goal. So I guess it's just really about being truly honest with yourself if you're really again, aligning with who you want to be fully, or if there's still more work to be done. And if there is, maybe gaining some outside tools that you then use yourself might be the way to go.
The last question is, what would you say to the people that held the belief of, so many people have it so much worse than I do, I can't complain, and they kind of just bury whatever their circumstances that it's upsetting to them? What would you say to those people?
There's room for your problems to be addressed too. It doesn't solve someone that has worse problems for you not to address yours. It just makes you less effective in being able to support other people, for you not to heal yourself. You put the air mask on yourself in the airplane before you put it on someone else, and give yourself that room. People definitely have it worse. People definitely have it better.
Right.
In this world of 7 billion people, and people that have it better are seeing therapists, and people that have it worse have opportunity to too. And if they don't, it's not because you went to go see a therapist. It's because some systems and things are messed up that don't allow for that to happen. But it's not your fault, and it won't be your fault if you go work on the things you want to work on, or even if you don't have a problematic time in your life, but you do feel like you want to grow, and maybe you have a little more time right now to engage in that, and it makes you feel guilty. Take that into the office and work through that, because the guilt is probably more of a state of being beyond, oh, I feel guilty about doing therapy. It probably shows up in a lot of ways that don't support you or the things you feel guilty about.
Hmm.
The way to relieve those feelings most often is to act and to, go out and volunteer or support, those things that you see wrong and try to do your little piece to solve them in whatever way. But not moving or not acting in your behalf isn't the same thing as that.
Right, like soothing the humanitarian in you, but
Mhm.
not making yourself suffer. There's nothing noble about that sentiment. A lot of people have it worse than I do. It's like, okay, like you're not allowed to have a bad day. Not healing your trauma affects every single person around you.
I see it when people do heal it, the power they have over not just their life, but their ability to impact their community and their world is it's just manyfold, and they really feel like they can go out into the world and do something about this world.
Right.
When they've quieted the beast within themselves that's been telling them that they don't have any power, they don't have any worth. And when you can really get back in touch with your worth and those pieces you hide away, you invite them into the conversation and let them know they're a part of you. They don't act out as much, actually. You think hiding them away keeps them from acting out, but really letting them sit at the table, um, they become part of the process of who you are, and you act again in accord with who you are, and your power over your community is a whole nother level.
Before we end this call, I wanted to ask you how we can find you.
You can find my group, which is Angela Psychology Group. You can find Angela Psychology Group on Instagram. If you go to the website, angelaspsychologygroup.com, you'll find my name on the About section, and you can set up a free consult to talk for a little while and see if you want to work with me. So those are the two main ways, and you'll find the rest of the contact information through those sites.
Great. And of course, I'll link all of that stuff too. Thank you so much, Gabrey. This was an amazing conversation. I feel like I learned so much. I know people watching are going to learn so much, and let's do this again.
Sounds good. I appreciate you having me, and yeah, it's great to talk about all this stuff and share it.
Yeah, especially right now. So it's very timely.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll talk soon. Okay.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Yeah.